Welcome back to another episode. I've got a clip here for you of Danielle Smith ripping Justin Trudeau and the Liberal federal government for the obvious overreach they have. And it's become an absolute mess. And I'm glad to see Canadians are fighting back, especially ones in positions of power like Danielle Smith. Check this out.
Ottawa persists in trying to regulate and remake Alberta's electrical system from generation to transmission to distribution, which will make life more expensive for families and put the reliability of our grid at risk. And they're pushing ahead with their plan, even though Section 92A of the Constitution of Canada is clear that legislating and regulating the development of electricity falls within the jurisdiction of the provinces. Alberta's government is committed to protecting Albertans from federal overreach. That is why this afternoon I intend to table a resolution in the chamber under the Alberta Sovereignty within a United Canada Act. We developed this legislation to shield the province from federal intrusions, and we're using it now because the consequences of this particular overreach would be so severe. Alberta will bear the largest share of the expenses required to meet these absurd targets, and consumers and businesses will see their bills soar. If the federal government has its way, many people will be left without electricity that they can pay for on a power grid that will fall short or even fail in a typical Alberta winter or summer. We refuse to go along with this plan. I mean, if they come through with the clean electricity regs, they will be mandating that we have to have essentially an emissions-free power grid by 2035. That means no one will build natural gas. We don't have a regulatory framework to build nuclear. No one will build nuclear. We don't have the resources to build hydro. No one will build hydro. So if we do not act, we will end up with instability in our grid. We will either not be able to grow as a province, or we will end up with brownouts and blackouts. That's the pathway that the federal government is giving us. And I've just said, no, we are not doing that. We're going to build enough base load power so that we can continue to keep up with growth, which will be doubling the amount of power that we need, and we'll build whatever we need to. In our market, what makes sense is natural gas, abated to the best available technology available right now, which may not be in sync with the federal targets, but I want our industry to be able to make the best effort, and we'll see. I mean, if they're not prepared to take the risk that their executives are not going to be thrown in jail in 2035, then we'll have to be the generator of last resort, and we will have to build that ourselves. But this is the conversation we have to have with the industry about how do we de-risk these projects to make sure that we get, they get, businesses get, and Albertans get what they need. These measures are not something that we want to do. They are a plan to counteract the absurd, illogical, unscientific, and unconstitutional interference in Alberta's electrical grid by a federal government that simply doesn't care what happens to our province, so long as they have a good virtue signaling story to tell their leftist friends and special interests. We would much rather work with Ottawa on meaningful ways to reduce emissions while continuing to generate reliable, affordable electricity. That's better for all Albertans and Canadians. But we refuse to meekly accept actions which are so plainly destructive to Alberta's economy and to the very safety and security of Alberta citizens. We will do whatever we must to stand up and protect the people of this province.
Well, there you have it. I can't believe she actually said some of that stuff, like the virtue signaling to leftists. Like, it's pretty amazing. People have been pushed so far, but it's at that time we have to stand up and fight for our country back. We've essentially lost our country to a bunch of scumbags that have just run our country into the ground. There's stuff coming all the time. Chrystia Freeland just denying everything. Plain and simple, Danielle Smith has some powers here, and she just ripped Trudeau a new one with that and just flat out said, no, we're not going to be doing what you're putting out a plan to do. And the worst part about all this too is it's been pointed out numerous times, and there's obviously another agenda going on here. Even if Canada became the most eco-green country on Earth, we'd only reduce emissions on planet Earth by 1 or 2%. It's nothing. It won't even move the needle. Yet somehow Canadians are the ones that are supposed to suffer for this magical plan of us sipping wheatgrass, riding unicorns through meadows in a green valley with a green economy, with a green. Now let me tell you, I have probably one of the lowest carbon footprints of anyone in Canada. I didn't get my driver's license until I was 26. I didn't get my first car until I was 32. And even then, it was an electric smart car. Up only until about a couple years ago did I have to switch it when I went through a divorce. I had to move somewhere where you can't drive something that only goes 100 kilometers. But, you know, I took the bus to work. I rode my bike to work. I get it. I'm all about, the environment. I make hiking films on my other channel. I have over almost 200 hiking videos. Obviously, I love nature, but coming from someone who's so eco and green myself, you can't run an entire country into the ground for this utopian dream of green, eco, green, green, green. The only country on earth that would really significantly move the needle by doing that is China. If China does that, they're going to change the world's global emissions targets and rates, all that, by 30%. Obviously, something else is going on here with Trudeau, that he's running us into the ground for a 1 or 2% global effect on planet Earth. It's disgusting, and he's a loser. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully we get our country back soon. Stay safe, stay warm. See you in the next one.